coming tonight?
No, he's in Mexico.
Oh,
I'll be in
Darren.
Mexico in
Right.
a couple of weeks myself.
Right.
Daryl. In Mexico, really?
Yeah, He's doing some kind of a fundraiser with Roger Pajo. It's kind of a surfing thing. And anyway, they took a bunch of goggles down there and some other stuff for their kids.
Fun.
Right.
Where'd they
So I'll
go?
let you get set up before I bang.
Oh,
Where do they go to?
Pavo.
We used to go down Shell.
How are you?
We go down to Sayulita, which is.
yeah.
Very good.
above,
Very,
Yeah, I've been there.
Puerto Vallarta, yeah.
very good.
First time we
very
went
nice.
Actually, I went to my first
Very
yoga
exhausting.
retreat.
Really, in Sayulita.
Yeah.
It's a real neat little town. It's like
I did.
Puerto Vallarta.
I did. It was
It was
right up 4 days
it was
and I
right
went
up
to
on the-
Hawaii.
It's called,
I had never
I
been.
can't remember it right now, but it was really a beautiful place.
Okay.
Are you ready? Call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Fair Oaks Recreation and Park District. And by the way, this is the 1,400th regular meeting of the directors. Call to order, please. Jennifer,
Chair O'Farrell,
here.
Vice Chair Irwin,
Here.
Director Carhart,
Here,
Director Tamani. Here. Let the record reflect Director Mounts is absent.
Well, I jumped out of order, but let's do the pledge now.
Who's closest to the flag? Jennifer, would you like to lead us?
I would love to. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Presentations, proclamations, recognition. The only item I see up is the Chicken Festival wrap up.
That will be Sabrina Bernardo.
Okay, Sabrina.
Hi.
Hello.
All right. Sabrina Bernardo, Recreation Supervisor at the district, predominantly overseeing special events. I'm here today to give you guys the wrap up presentation on the Chicken Festival. That was September 18th from 3 to 8 p.m. at Fair Oaks Park. So as you know, the 2020 Fair Oaks Chicken Festival was canceled due to the pandemic. But this year we were able to bring it back as a reimagined chicken festival, and it came back bigger and better than one could have expected given the circumstances. So I know you guys are all pretty familiar with it. I'm just going to show a quick slideshow with a few pictures to highlight the festival activities. And Ian, you can go ahead and start that. Some new ones, again, were just the VIP, the car show, tournament, walk party, online, all new this year. Very So that gave you guys a brief overview. So as you can imagine, this year was quite challenging. There was a lot of things that we had to get through in order to host this year's event. So first thing, COVID-19, obviously, we had to ask ourselves, would people come? Were they ready to get out in the public? And how could we do that safely? And how could we include those that were not quite ready? We had to also look at the timing of the event. When we were hosting, if you recall, the case numbers were starting to rise, and it was actually just a few short days after the recall had happened. So all things that we had to take into effect. The planning timeline, typically it takes about 8 to 10 months to plan this event, but if you remember, the Economy did not open until June 15th. We didn't know until then if the large scale event could even happen, what the requirements may be. So we really were limited on what we had in order to plan. And then one of the biggest ones was the location. So as you guys know, with Measure J projects, we couldn't host it down in the village. We had to make that decision to go ahead and move it to Fair Oaks Park, which really made for that whole new event, the whole reimagination of the event. So with that, there were some challenges. Again, would people come? How could we involve the village and those staples of having it down in the village and the chickens, of course, and then staple events like the pancake breakfast? What would we do with that? Because we couldn't actually move that over to the new location. Of course, we have to consider budget. Taking into consideration COVID-19, the planning timeline, the new location. We had a pretty good idea that our numbers were going to be decreased quite significantly, even for attendance. We knew there wasn't enough prep time and planning for vendors and sponsors to even be part of that. Staffing and volunteers were a challenge. You all know hiring is difficult. What would happen? We had to really have plans A, B, and C. What would happen if someone got exposed to COVID? That would wipe out our entire staff for the event day of. So all things we had to consider when we decided how we were going to approach this year's festival in a very short time. So you may wonder, what did we do? How did we combat each of those challenges? Maybe it's not going in. There we go. So we went hybrid for as much as we could. For those not ready to immerse themselves in the full-blown in-person event, we offered online content to stay relevant and to connect with our community. So some of those things included a welcome message, Rocky's dance party, interview with Rocky, and a Rocky the Rooster drawing. And Ian is going to show you just a quick example of what that online content was for those people out
Hello, Fair Oaks. We've had a very difficult year this year, but we are so happy to have you back for the 16th annual Fair Oaks Chicken Festival.
Good day, Fair Oaks. It's a bright, sunny day here in Fair Oaks, California. My name is Daniel Catalica, and I'm here with the one, the only, Rocky the Rooster.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming. I hope you're all having a great time at the online version of the annual Fair Oaks Chicken Festival. Today, we're going to be making our very own Rocky the Rooster drawing.
So as you can see, we got pretty creative with our online content. So it was really fun to do that, and we went outside of our comfort zone on those aspects. So great to do that and have that experience. Ian was a huge help with that, and so was Alicia. We appreciate all the help. And then we also did live stream. So the main stage was live streamed at the event. So they were able to experience at home Jackhammer Band, Mullet Mechanics, FBI, the Clucking Pro contest. And then we were actually able to incorporate some sponsor commercials in that viewing as well. And Ian's going to show you a quick glimpse of
Thank
you very much.
Little bit of me, what you won't do, what's it gonna be? We can get
Don't leave me, girl, don't you know I ain't too proud to be, baby, baby. Please don't leave me, girl, don't you know?
So that was a glimpse of our live stream for the day. So that did last the entire day, which is really awesome. And then we brought on an online vendor application and payment platform and really a hybrid event platform that was used to stay on various events. and we'll continue to do so as we move forward with events in the future. So that was very successful. We brought on new festivities to not only entice people to attend, right, because we weren't sure if people were going to even come. So we invited them to come with new activities and events. And then we also added in pop-up events. So to incorporate the village, we did a block party in the village the Wednesday before Chicken Festival to kind of still just get people down into the village and pay homage to the chickens and the merchants. And then lastly, we added the pop-up event of the pancake breakfast at the Grange location in Orangeville. So people the morning of the event from 7:30 to 10 could still go and get pancake breakfast. We had a couple sponsors out there. We had a band and Rocky the Rooster giving out promo items. So that was great. Lots of cuts and savings. We knew we needed to cut back because of everything that was happening. We cut the event time. Typically, previous years has been either 7 or 8 hours of event time. We went down to 5 hours. And again, that was because of staffing and volunteer restrictions. We used existing resources. Anything we really had surplus of or in the bin that we could salvage to use for this year instead of buying new, we did that. And then the kids part, unfortunately, we had to cut back really significantly. The kids part takes so much staff time and so much time and so much prep. So we cut the performances, we cut it back to a scale that the FOIA group could actually manage that with their advisor, Mary, and kind of do that and still make that as a fundraiser for them. So that was unfortunate, but it was something that we needed to do for this year. And then lastly, the layout actually helped us. We were able to cut back on staff time very significantly because we weren't going back and forth loading trailers. We were right there at the yard. We were able to set up the day before instead of having to shut down all the streets. We saved a ton of money on security guards and barricade rentals, permit processing because it was in that part. So that was all terrific. And then partnerships, of course, because of all the new festivities, we had to reach out to our partners and of course the existing partners to keep up what they would normally do in the past. All right, so was it successful? Yes, it was 100% successful. The only shortcomings we really had that day were parking, which is kind of funny. There's almost 700 parking spots at Fair Oaks Park, and I can't believe we're having a parking issue moving it from the village to Fair Oaks Park. But we did not anticipate the number of people that were actually coming to attend. We did not staff for parking. We did not have enough volunteers to manage the parking. So we know as a staff, we're going to be adjusting that moving forward, but overall, very minor issue. And unfortunately, ADA is just, it's not as accessible as it is to be on the paved roads. There were some ADA shortcomings that we're going to be addressing for next year's events. Overall, though, super successful. We're thinking probably around 8,000 people in attendance. Parking spots were turning over and the street across and the businesses all packed, all full. We were doing rideshare, Lyft, and Uber, and people were coming in consistently. Lots of smiles and memories. And my favorite thing is people, and even Mike, I talked to Mike earlier, were really hesitant about the event going to Fair Oaks Park. And to everybody's surprise, people loved it. It was so nice. The day was beautiful. People were ready to get out. And I'm just going to share one of the quotes on there publicly and read it out loud. It says, "Going to sleep with visions of chickens dancing in my head. Never have I been more proud to call Fair Oaks home during the Pluck and Crow contest tonight. The cheers and laughter were so pure and so good. At FORPD, you guys nailed it." And I think that really sums it up. It was just really wholesome and really just a great day overall. So, future outlook. So moving forward, we're going to be looking at some partnerships this next year. We're going to be looking to work with a group that can expand the kids park. We're going to actually be moving the kids park across the softball field in that grassy area in front, so we can utilize that extra space to add in more vendors. As I'll discuss in a second, we need to up our revenues in the vendor category. And then we're going to be doing some contracted services, looking for that parking partner to help us in that area. And then eventually everybody wants to know, are we going back to the village? And yes, the plan is to move back to the village once it's done. So, but for next year, we will be back at Fair Oaks Park, and we will.
Great, thanks, Sabrina. I'm
Systems out much.
Right, all right. Now the, you know. Boring stuff. Right.
So we went down from 2019, I will mention, this does not include staff time, and I know it's really small, so I'm gonna just highlight the big difference. So 2019, the last time we held the event, our expenses were about 29,000. Our expenses were about 18,000. So that's a significant decrease, right? Of almost 11,000. That was made up of like rentals, so stage, barricades, tents, dumpster, food, permits, recreation supplies, security, all those things were able to the new location or just different aspects were able to cut. However, revenues, last time we hosted 2019, about 37, almost 38,000. This year, 18,000. So a huge difference, but I just a second to explain why. Vendors, we didn't have enough space for vendors. We're going to rectify that next year by opening up some space by moving the kids park. But honestly, even the vendors, the spaces we had was hard to fill because of the short time period. People didn't have enough time to even get stock and supplies and crowds, all of that ready to fill their space. And sponsors were down about $5,000. But what we heard back from them was they weren't even given the okay to go out to events. So we're hoping, you know, this next year, a lot of people will be able to actually be out and be given the clearance to be out at events and have stock and be ready to go. Sactomoco was down about $1,000. Sactomoco was down about $1,000, which I just attribute to we were about 2 to 3 hours less of event time. That's a lot of event. Did not happen. Sales of the wristband, I remind you, we gave that to Hoya Freezer. So typically about $6,000 we would see in our revenue for that. That's not in here at all because that went to Hoya. And then t-shirts were down about 1,000. So that I finished just to say thank you to our sponsors, Rayleigh Sludge, our partners, the community, vendors, volunteers, board of directors, and I would like an extra thank you to the staff because they were extremely flexible. They did whatever we needed. They stayed late, they came early. And this year, our team just rocked it. So I think it was very successful. I think I've heard really great feedback. So I appreciate your guys' willingness to let us host that event this year. That's it.
Thanks, Sabrina.
Sabrina, I had some, I had some.
Couple questions. Why did we do the pancake breakfast at the Grange and not in the McMillan Center?
There's not any like stovetop grills at the McMillan Center and the ability to cook as quickly as they needed to there. And really for them, it's easier for them. They didn't have to transport any of their equipment back and forth, and they actually loved that. And moving forward, they are interested in possibly not coming back to the clubhouse. They would prefer to continue to host it at their facility. But we need to do a better job of getting that communication out there that the pancake breakfast is happening.
Yeah, because I know they've done pancake breakfasts before at McMillan Center, but perhaps not for that bigger crowd.
Yeah.
And the other question I have is, did we make full use of the Presbyterian Church parking? Did we have that
We did.
well enough marked, and was it used heavily?
Oh, every single spot was used. I mean, it was, everything was packed. All of that was packed. So between them and us, about 700 parking spots. And then everything in the neighborhoods was packed. We had rideshare going from Lyft and Uber, and we had usage of the library parking lot for that. And we saw people coming in on bikes. But yeah, all of that was used. The neighborhood behind the park was all packed with cars. Yeah, all used.
And could you tell me again, I was busy trying to get the figures there, but not including staff time, what did we figure the event cost us?
Not including staff time, we were at a total of 18,000 and some change, 18,011.
So about the same, maybe a little less than usual, I guess.
Oh, much less. So in 2019, the event cost us about 35,000.
Not including staff time then?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep. 37,000.
And we don't use overtime on that, do we?
What was that?
We've not used overtime for the staffing, so.
You know, so actually one of the changes you guys made, a lot of us went exempt, so that didn't play into this year as much because we were all exempt employees now.
Uh-huh.
So we were not on overtime then.
Yeah, the point I'm making is the staff time is there, whether we use it for the chicken
Yeah.
festival or whatever, so.
Yeah, but it was significantly. I mean, telling you, we went from 440 hours from 2019 down to 210 hours this year. And that was because we were not closing down roads.
Uh-huh,
We would have to man every single one of those barricades with 2 workers.
right.
We get there at 4 o'clock in the morning, all the way until 9 o'clock at night. That's a significant savings just in that alone. But not to mention, we took away the kids park, which is a huge staff savings just for scaling back that kids park.
Well, I think you did a very excellent event. I, for one, loved the venue, loved how it was pulled off. I loved the car show there. And despite some organizations complaining about things, I think it went well for the partnership organizations, right, Mike?
Oh, I was completely impressed, completely. I mean, and I was against moving the location. I mean, a lot of people said, what, you're leaving the village? And then when I was there, it was amazing. I was shocked. I like it so much, I want to create a new event.
Yeah.
And just
We've
leave
heard
it
that a
there.
lot.
Just leave it there.
We'll let Lions.
And another thing is that happened as a sign of how successful it was, is all the vendors were huge lines.
And good food.
That's
too.
a good problem. You're having a good problem. And I actually predict next year, you're gonna have twice as many people attend.
Yeah.
So plan accordingly.
Yes. And that was the thing, we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know if people were gonna come out. And I think that was the big question, right? What?
Raymond, you got some questions.
Sorry, I just had a few questions. So attendance you thought was about 8,000 this year. So what was it in 2019?
We're probably 8 to 10.
Yeah.
So roughly around the same. And then was the VIP ticket sale, was that successful?
Not as successful as we had hoped.
How many?
It's successful enough to try again next year and tweak. This is the first time we've ever done something like that.
How many tickets were available? How many tickets were sold?
Oh, we probably had we probably could have been 200, 300, 400 if we needed to. I think we only sold probably like 65.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's perhaps just a different way to do that next year.
Yeah.
And then did everything end up turning out okay with different vendors or groups that were selling alcohol? Did that all turn out okay?
I think everybody that was involved was extremely successful in their endeavors.
Is that what you heard?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
I understand they did quite well despite their fears going in.
Good. Great job, Sabrina. Thank you so much.
Well, are we gonna have a plan in place if we have conflict again next year
Oh,
to
yes,
deal with that?
We're already working. with that.
Good idea. Good,
Absolutely.
good.
Yep.
Belinda?
I attended and I stayed there till the very end. I had a wonderful time with my family. So
Good to hear.
nothing but a big thank you to staff for putting on the event.
Yeah.
And as an administrator, I do want to thank the staff for an incredible job. This was a leading edge event. We haven't seen anything like this, and even other events I participated in over the last 4 or 5 months and watched, this was definitely one of the leading edge events. So I kudos to the staff.
Thank you.
Standing ovation.
All right. The next item on the agenda is the opportunity for the audience, the public, to comment on non-agenda items. Ian, do we have anybody in the queue that may want to speak to a non-agenda item?
Yes, it looks like we have Garrett.
Garrett? Mute.
Probably have.
All right, how's that?
Great.
I just want to jump back to the previous things, so I didn't get to comment on that, and just want to say thank you to Sabrina and everybody that made the Chicken Festival happen. I thought it was an amazing event as a community partner, and we appreciated being able to come there and have a booth, and thought it was just awesome. And thank you so much for doing that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Garrett. Ian, anybody else?
No, that looks like it.
Okay. All right, motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Consent calendar, item number 7. Does anybody have any questions, any comments, any concerns that have not been pre-resolved with the discussion with Mike or somebody else on staff?
Make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Item number 8, agenda items, monthly Fair Oaks Youth Advisory Board report, FOYAB. Are we going to have a report, Sabrina, do you know?
We are. The
Okay.
chair is not here, but we do have
Nadia.
Nadia.
Oh, okay, great. Nadia, would you like to join us?
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Navia Alkarwani and I'm the vice chair of FOYAB. Rachel could not make it today, the chair, so I'll be filling in. So for our service groups this month, we were able to work at the Grange and the food bank farm, and it feels super good to be out in the community again. And we will continue doing that throughout our FOYAB term. And then the next meeting, which is our December meeting, we will be putting together hygiene bags to distribute, as well as create handmade cards for senior citizens at care homes. There are lots of upcoming events. We have a tree lighting event, which we will have members running a booth and handing out prizes. We also are doing a elf scavenger hunt, and FOYAB will be hiding and leaving clues around Fair Oaks. And more information is to come on our social media, which is at InstaFOYAB on Instagram. A few of our FOYAB members were at the opening of the Jim Strang Park and plan to have members at the Gum Ranch Park opening when the date is further decided. And we are looking for fundraising opportunity and donations. We would truly appreciate any donations and we'll be reaching out to local businesses in Fair Oaks. That is it for our update this month. Thank you. And are there any additional questions?
Which senior facilities are you going to be doing cards for? You know,
I'm not too sure yet. I think we still have to reach out to a few, but I can get back to you on that next meeting.
there are several here in Fair Oaks.
Yeah. I think we used to do a couple years back before Eschaton was one that we reached out to, and I think, and Oakmont, and I think that's what we're gonna continue to.
We're good.
Are there
Thank you very much. And does anybody else have a question, a comment? Great. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
Item 8.2, discussion and possible action on purchasing property at 10940 Fair Oaks Boulevard, Fair Oaks, California, to be used for district office. And again, the property name is Woodmont property, correct?
So, board, I did put in your packet a variety of different things, everything from the general staff report to some attachments. You've seen some of these as a board already, including the possible rental incomes that the property has, and then some of the options for the possibility of purchasing this facility. So I'm not going to go over those at this point in time. I will jump to attachment B though, because that is new information. And there was a question at the last meeting, what is the zoning for the Woodmont property? It is in a mixed use corridor. It is currently zoned light commercial and it's surrounded by RD5 residential and RD30, which is multifamily property. So it's definitely in a multi-use corridor, mixed use corridor. So that should answer that question. You did not ask what the annual property tax is, but I put that in there because that is an expense. It's approximately $9,390 per year. You had asked what the square footage of our current district.
Stop just a second, Mike, on that. So if we purchase a property, it becomes our property, public property, and there are no property taxes paid?
I can answer that if you want that, because I have a really good attorney on that. If we do lease property out, it will be taxed.
Okay, because we don't pay property tax on Temescal or anything else we own.
Is it just the leased portion that would be taxed or the entire?
That I don't know, so I'd have to find that
That's a
out.
good question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Okay.
The square footage of the current district office is 2,148 square feet. You asked about the triggers for the ADA improvements in the old library and what would cause the ADA improvements to happen. And if the value of the construction exceeds 161,298, we're required to upgrade to fully accessible compliance for the building entry, the path of travel to the area of remodel, and restrooms that would be serving the remodel. Basically, in that scenario, it's the entire building and the outside. If the value of the construction is less than 161, then 20% of the value of the construction must be spent on accessible in a sequential order that you see there, which is basically getting into the building would be the first. And then after that would be the restrooms. But if you were under 161, we'd be lucky to be able to even under that 20% get into the building.
Mike, can we go back to the district, the square footage of our existing facility? And I don't recall which two units we
Yes.
were going to parse out, and how does the 2148 compare to what we're going to be picking up for our own use?
Yeah, if we were to use this for office, my recommendation would be that we use two sites for that. And that would be site right here. I believe it's
300, right?
600 would be 1 and 300. And that total square footage, I do have in my notes here, would be
28 and some change.
Yeah, 28.
So we're picking up roughly 700 square feet.
Yeah, 700 square feet bigger. So, and a little more efficient space, of course.
Well, yeah, and that's the parking.
Yeah.
But the parking is going to be shared parking, because we are hopeful that we're going to be able to rent out as much as we can if we do pursue this.
Yes, yeah, the parking stalls would be shared stalls in there.
Okay, thanks.
And then there were some questions that the listing agent had provided some answers to. How long has the Woodmont property been on the market? And that's been for about 1 year. And he said with some decent activity. And he also goes on to sell, but the seller sticking to his price. And then he says, we have another offer that's strong. And then 2, what is the leasing history? Again, this is provided by the leasing agent. He says, I think the salon space could easily be leased. The offices are ready to lease. It might need slightly lower rent to help get some momentum, but should lease quickly. So not a great answer. And then do you have any more comps? And he said those are the only comps I had. Mike Maddox, who's here, did provide some additional comps. That's the next sheet. And we list 17 comps there. And we broke it out by price and who the listing broker was, and then the total square footage and the cost per square foot. And this cost per square foot is critical in this discussion, if you have a discussion, because out of that average of the 17 comps, the average square foot price is $199.67. The asking price for the Woodmont property works out to be $159 per square foot. So that obviously within that range. Leases. No price. Are there any questions on that before we come to attachment C?
No.
And attachment C is just as many as I could come up with some possible pros and cons of purchasing the building. The first one I put down is the Woodmont building. It's larger. So it's total square footage of 8,941 versus our 2,100 square feet. But we would need to use 2 units in the Woodmont to have enough space for staff which would reduce the future lease revenue. So we would need to rent suite 600 and suite 300, in my estimation, for a total of 28,000 or 2,800 24 square feet. Another pro was it is closer to park operations and other parks. The Woodmont property is. And the con for that one is we will lose our village presence as an office. And then another pro here, we would free up space in the village for possible other commercial investment if we were no longer housed in the village. But that current office could just be another office building. We don't control who buys it and what they would use it for. Another pro is we can pay cash for the Woodmont property. I have a estimation from our consultant on the cell tower lease, and it's a little higher than that, but I put down, it is actually estimated at 1.4 to 1.55 million on the sale of the lease, cell tower leases. Two of them, if we opted to go that route. And so, the con for that is we would lose the cell tower revenue to get the purchase, and our current cell tower revenue on that is $6,921 per month with a 3% escalator annually. So it would continue to go up.
Mike, can I ask you, is there a market for those? Can we sell them right away?
In the email, and again, the consultant that we use does this for a business. They sell towers, sell cell tower leases, and they also negotiate them. So they are biased toward this, but I have faith in them. They have not steered us wrong in 3 different transactions that we've used. They say in this email, buyers are paying top dollars, and we are recommending to all of our clients to take advantage of the market now. In addition, buyers use gross monthly multipliers and not cap rates. With that being said, our evaluation is as follows. So it says here too, we believe you could easily get 1.4 to 1.55 million for both assets. We will see a decline in pricing next year. So
this is the net we get out of it, I assume.
no, we're going to have to take, we don't have a contract yet with them. The estimation is 5% from them. They gave me a ballpark that they would take 5% of the sale price.
Yeah, the thing I was referring to is if somebody buys out the lease, they're going to buy it at a discounted amount, no?
No, they would pay the 1.4 to 1.5 million. For that, and they believe they can get that. So a valuable asset, of course, but then again, you remember we're losing revenue of 6,000.
Well, so, okay, question, you know, you put the cart before the horse, or you put the horse before the cart. So are we going to sell? Are we going to commit to sell and see how much cash we have in hand before we commit to buy?
I think if it were me looking at this, I would look at it like a contingent offer, like I have a house I need to sell prior to being able to buy that house. I'll put my offer in, but there'll be a contingency to that, and that would be the sale of the cell house. Very similar to how you do a house.
So it's interesting what you say about the prediction, the selling price would go down with next year and perhaps.
They're projected that this is the high point of the market for cell tower leases. So the old adage of buy low, sell high. Commercial property is low, and our cell tower leases are high. You're in that old saying.
So we lose 72K annually in cell tower lease payments, correct?
Yes.
It's six grand a month. And we know that the cell towers are not going to last forever. There's going to be, you know, maybe not, well, I'm on the board, but maybe while Raymond's on the board,
yes.
And Delinda, that there'll be new technology and they will have no value. The $72,000, I guess, is not going to cause us any grief or any pain in our overall budget.
No, I don't think so. I mean, maybe Jennifer can speak a little bit more to that, but I do not believe so. And really, if we look at number 7, you know, if we were concerned about it and we were able to sell our current office building And we placed that money into reserves from the sale of that building, because currently we wouldn't need that money. If it's estimated to be $800,000 sale price for our office building, that's equal to 66 years of the cell tower level. So, again, a recommendation I would make that we put, if we do sell the office, let the money go into a reserve account.
All right. Mike and I have had a couple conversations about this, and initially my reaction was, no, this doesn't, I'm not interested in doing this. I'm simply one vote. But the more I've talked to Mike, I think there are some advantages to do it. But I also am really, really reluctant to put the Temescal site on the market right now. I think we need to ride this wave and see what happens. And if it all works out, then maybe we get more money out of the Temescal site.
We would, using the cell tower, if everything worked correctly, and we sold the cell towers, we would be in no hurry to sell the current office building. There would be no immediate, we have to sell it type of thing.
Is that something we could do, year-to-year lease?
We could probably lease that facility out, yes, if that's something we chose to do.
Okay.
I concur with what John said. With the cell towers, I kind of feel like we're selling an old Kodak camera just as film is going out, So it might be
But you
good
still
to-
own, you have your old.
I do. But we don't want the cell towers as a piece of nostalgia.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I would agree.
Cell towers aside, I think one of the concerns that I have is space and whether we need the space. I mean, right now we don't have full staff in the office.
Right.
I don't know if we will, at what point that will actually happen where you have full staff in the office. I mean, I understand the need to make sure that you can accommodate everyone, but I know that in other office situations, there's been discussions about like hoteling, where you create like communal spaces where someone can just come in if they need to be there for the day, or and our current situation, it doesn't seem like we keep going through these surges of COVID, right? So we're going up and down and up and down. And it seems like most private industry is looking at smaller spaces. And so, and I know that we are in a different position, but that kind of weighs on me a little bit. Like how much room do we actually need for staff space, even if you are adding additional positions? But I do want to say that if it is decided that we keep Temescal, we don't purchase new property, I definitely see value in making improvements to the current district office building. So I just don't know. It's a balance of where is the best way to spend the money that we have.
And yeah, I concur with you quite a bit on that. What I was looking at is, if space is an issue, how much space do we need? And let's get that space. And we have seen already in our discussion a couple of weeks ago that they're doing quite, cutting leasing in half for some of those tenants.
Sure.
If the idea is we want more space, why not lease 2 of those spaces? Why buy the whole building? We're not property managers. You'd have to hire a property manager potentially. Why not just use the space that we need? I definitely am not in favor of selling our village building right now. I think the value will definitely go up after everything is done.
I agree.
We don't need the whole building. And some things just that we don't know still, that again, why I wouldn't necessarily want to buy the building, is we don't know how long it's been vacant. The answers that person gave were not sufficient. We don't know when it was 100% occupied. Both questions I did ask to have an answer on. And to Director Temiani's point, we don't know when staffing is going to be back full time, or if it's going to end up being a hybrid. From what I'm seeing, the hybrid model is becoming quite normal now. With that though, and plus we can't plan on leasing out 100% of the space. We don't know that, especially because what we do know is businesses are going out of business. And, I have a hard time with that. That being said, on a different note, I like the idea of selling the cell towers. I like the idea of having 1.4 million to potentially do stuff with, to potentially put half in reserve and potentially do some cool, great new projects. There's always more things we can be doing for our constituency and that of Fair Oaks. So I like that idea, but I don't like that idea to buy a building when we don't need it. That's my feeling.
Well, I don't know that we necessarily need to move on this tonight. I would like to hear what Darren's feeling is. I mean, obviously there are pros and cons to doing, what you and Delinda have said. That's probably the least risky thing to do. And then there's the flip side where if we have a piece of property and maybe, it does increase in value, we don't need as much space as we think we do there. We could still move over there and we could lease out more, but the place has a history of not being totally 100% leasable. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
Now, I just add a couple of things that I've been thinking about with both properties, the existing office in the village and this. I'm wondering if at some future time we would have visions of using the space for recreational activities. The other thing that pops in mind, both the sheriff's department and the county lease space out here for branch operations. I would think that we ought to, if we do seriously buy this building or consider it, see if there would be an interest from another public agency in renting the space. And I also think that perhaps I don't want to sell the building downtown yet. It's too great a resource, but could we lease that to something and then absolutely be able to control what kind of business goes in there? We could direct it towards retail if we wanted. So those are the random thoughts I have towards this. We have, with the bond, we've been expanding both land and facilities in order to accommodate the future growth. And so that's why I was intrigued with the idea of getting additional space. At one time, we were talking about building a community center, and we scaled that way back to do some additional space in the village. But having just looked at the Citrus Heights plan for what their ambitious plans for turning Sunrise Mall into another, what's the place out there in Folsom, Palladio. That kind of being old, I'm thinking about the future. What are we going to leave for the next generation of people in Fair Oaks? Do we give them enough land, enough parks, enough space, enough recreation?
And I want to touch a little bit on the staffing. I think you're absolutely right. It's an unknown. I think Katie may chime in here. I know she's on the call here, but I currently we don't have everybody in. That's absolutely right. But I should probably just let Katie chime in on that because I'm going to steal some thoughts because she's much more in tune to what the recreation people will be doing here in the next 3 months, 5 months, and maybe 10 months. What she perceives as their staffing at the office.
Good evening, board. If I understand it right, just what are the staffing expectations coming up in the next 3 to 6 months? I mean, with the loss of the clubhouse facilities, hopefully sooner rather than later, with construction, I know it's a little unknown as to how much staffing we're going to need in the future. But we are going to start working towards the arts and entertainment staffing structure and building that program as well. So we will have new bodies, and I hope I'm not speaking too soon, Mike, but we will have new bodies that will need to be present in the near future, whether or not we can or cannot fit them in the office. I mean, just historically speaking, we've always made do, but I don't know if that's a good practice to continue long-term in the future, squeezing people in every nook and cranny of that office, especially when you are doing a lot of Zoom calls. You will see that it's very distracting when you've got 16 other people on Zoom calls all around you. But I know we are looking to add some staffing in the very near future to start building that arts and entertainment program. I do obviously always hope to build my part-time and full-time staff in the future as we bring programming back to what it used to be and even better. But I do believe that's at least 12 to 18 months in the future, just because we don't know what's happening with COVID. Again, that's just my professional guess, but I do see growth in the very near future. If we don't grow staffing and bodies we can't grow programming. They have to coexist together. Whether or not they have to be in the office or a hybrid, that's also a great point. I know that we are hybrid working right now, and it's worked wonderfully for staff. Some of us are working hybrid more than others, and it does work really well. So I'm not sure if that answers your question. I do know growth is inevitable though, so we will be proposing in the very near future to add some staff members to our roster. Where we put them is the great question.
So Katie, can I ask you, in terms of recreational programs, as COVID fades away, we hope, and with no facilities at the clubhouse for the next probably 2 years, do we have the venues for the classes and things that we want to use? That's number one question. The other question I had was, with the emphasis on pre-K childcare and things like that, have we ever thought about getting involved in expansion of our preschool or some related activity, or does that not fit our mission?
That absolutely hits our mission. Director Carhart, those are two excellent questions. I'll hit on the venue first. We have been we were moving into running classes at Meristem right when COVID hit. We had a full slate of class ideas. We were entering into a contract with Meristem to shift some of our existing classes from the clubhouse over to that Meristem facility, which if you've never visited, your mind would be blown at how large and great of a program Meristem is in general on its own. And so we were going to hybrid in there and have some classes they already do, have opening slots for the public itself to take classes with students, both daytime and evening, as well as moving our own classes over there. We were going to move our acting class, our dance classes, a lot of different things over that facility. They are very accommodating, but of course COVID hit. So we are back at it with Meristem. We had a meeting with Aaron from Meristem last week, and we are now just updating the contract to hopefully be signed to start sometime in the new year. I think they were saying spring is a better time for them. Just let them get through the winter season. So yes, that's one venue option. We have a meeting with Stephanie from Rolling Wood Athletic Club tomorrow morning, actually, to talk about jointly running classes, moving maybe some of our classes over there, or getting in on what they're doing over at Rollingwood, because I know they have some space to fill, and they're looking at some creative partnership opportunities as well. So we are really looking at opportunities. To answer your question about preschool, yes, Mike and I have had multiple conversations about our preschool program. We've also talked about just daycare in general, options throughout the week, and adding to what we already do in the summer program as a year-round option. Space is obviously our issue. We are looking at trying to start talking with San Juan Unified. Is there a possibility, number one, that we could move our own summer camp program to a San Juan Unified campus during the summer that's not being utilized? Perfect option would be La Vista. So we are looking at trying to see if we can't get in La Vista, get a foot in the door for that facility in the summertime. We would have options for more students in the summer camp program. We're very limited in the McMillan Center. It's literally like squeezing sardines in there, as I'm sure Delinda could attest to. Great program, great staff, but just not a lot of options with the McMillan Center. So we're looking at that. If we were able to move to San Juan for the summer camp program, we'd still run a smaller program at the McMillan Center. But then if we get our foot in the door, we can start talking, could we run a preschool program in La Vista? If they do in the next year or two phase out their existing program in that facility, that's a great option for us to start knocking on the door of, we'd really love that facility too, maybe one day. So not just the outside portion of it. So that's a long-winded answer, but Director Carhart, yes, we are looking at that. We would love to extend and have another preschool option. There's just not enough childcare facilities. It was just in the news last week about how it's lacking due to COVID. A lot of facilities in Sacramento area closed, and they don't have enough childcare options for kids. So we are looking at that.
Thank you for that detailed answer. One other question popped up. With the use of Meristem, do they have to go in on Bannister for all to get to Meristem, or can they go in through Steiner College?
They actually do not go in on Bannister at all from Maristem. If you go and take a right before you hit the Waldorf gates, you can't really get through. You could, I suppose, if you're Maristem property owner, to do something back there, but there's no through to that back section. We've done multiple campus tours and checked out the outside of their dorms and everything, which if you didn't know, they have dorms there. And so no, it's just that main entrance right off of Fair Oaks Boulevard. They have a parking lot in the front. They have a parking lot in the back by the dorms. They have a parking lot along the side where they currently teach beginning driver's ed style classes and golf carts for their students. They pre-COVID had their own cafe that they ran by students. There was a chef in there. They do baking classes with students and an actual pastry chef. I mean, it's amazing what they offer there. And so we want to support them in getting back up and where they were before, and also be able to be a good partner to them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We talked about this for 30 minutes plus. So what is the pleasure of the board?
There's nothing that I will make a motion on. However, I am very interested in putting a directive to see about selling the cell tower. I don't know if any other board members are interested in that and walking that road down. But that's just something that I would love to see something with.
Can I interject there? If I may? We will probably still have 2 other cell leases. We have one right now that's not activated. If you remember the Fair Oaks Park one, there's still no new construction on that. They have 2 years, I believe there's a contract to do that. And then we have another one in Fair Oaks or Miller Park. So those 2 are not part of this mix. There's still 2 out there, but they aren't drawing any revenue at this point.
So my take on this thing is, if you look at this building as commercial space, do we really want to get into commercial leasing? But if you look at all the other options for it in terms of park and recreation space or other civic uses, it seems to me it's a better asset to have than dying cell towers. And if I could swap directly, I would think that would be a good move.
That if we turn it into additional public space, then we don't have any rental income.
Right.
That's the downside.
But we're almost paying for the thing just with the cell towers. So I see it more of a swap.
Well, we don't need all that space.
But can we grow into that space? That's what I'm thinking.
I don't think so.
That's 9,000 square feet.
I think, as to Katie's point, I think it's always, I find it more beneficial for us to utilize community partners. And if we can work with Maristem, other locations, a list of whatnot, and utilize their space, it's more built out for different types of programs. I think it makes much more sense than ours. And then also speculating on if we could get, agencies or whatnot to utilize our space. I know the county spot off of Hazel and Madison is large. It's not huge. It's huge. So I mean, that's like probably 4 times the whole thing there. I've been in it for CPAC. So I don't like motion. I don't like there's a lot of speculation in here that I don't like, and I don't think it's the wisest thing to do that. I don't think it makes the most sense.
So the question here is, do we drop the idea or do we approve moving forward on it? And what kind of motion?
I would like to have Darren weigh in on this as well. He will be back at the next board meeting. So I would make a motion to continue this to the December 15th regular meeting of the board, and we can either fish or cut bait.
I second that. I think Darren should be in on this. If the property's been on the market for a year,
It's going to stay on the market.
Then it wasn't meant to be.
Exactly.
So if we continue it, are we then saying, are we having a whole nother presentation just like this?
No, I don't think we need to do that.
I don't want that, because I'm not gonna.
Just please let me know and I can try and get that forward to you prior to the meeting.
Okay. We have a motion and a second.
All in favor to continue the matter?
Aye.
Well, let's take a step back. Do you want to include moving forward with exploration of the sale of the cell towers?
I would add that to the motion.
Okay.
Or could that be a separate motion? Do we want to, regardless of whether we buy this building? do we wanna have a
Regardless, I
second
would.
motion to
Yeah.
sell this and put the money in the bank?
Can we do that based on? what was-
There's no
Okay.
contingency for us to sell the cell tower pieces. We can do that anytime we want.
Do we
Okay.
want to continue that to next month so Darren can be Darryl can be a part of that, or?
I would be in favor of exploring that. But of course, I can't speak for him.
Yeah, are we saying to
Well, why don't we
explore it or
let's
just
just,
sell it?
if Mike says we can do it whenever we want. So I mean, we don't need to rush that. We need to make sure that when we're ready to move forward, we move forward. So, okay, we have a motion and a second.
And you can amend your motion to include the cell tower issue.
Yes, we can, but Mike says we don't even need to do that. We can just,
But he did say that this year it could go down as far as the sale of it.
Right,
So I don't
right.
want it to be like
no,
it just.
no,
is
I understand.
continuing.
We don't want it to drag out.
You want to make some.
So, Belinda, are you okay?
I'm fine. I was just saying the cell phone tower can be as a separate
I
agenda
think
item, I think.
Right, okay.
So could you restate your motion again?
Parliamentarian.
To continue the item to the regular meeting of December the 15th, 2021. That included within that motion is the future exploration of the sale of these cell towers.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bingo. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 3, discussion and possible action on approval of change of order for Cala for Village/Plaza Park renovation project.
Yes, Board, this is a change order for Cala for some work that they are doing and working on currently. It is for $43,712. This work is for Village Plaza Park. It's part of the Measure J funded renovations. And the items that the additional items that they did not have in their original scope, including the Department of Transportation, the grind and overlay limits. You've heard about those, about the possibility of having to pave to the middle line of the roads. Also, the right-of-way sign off for the road abandonment in front of the clubhouse. And then the DWR, the Department of Water Resources, and the actual right-of-way lines, additional manholes, relocation of storm drain lines, all of that related to those projects. And then the Sacramento area sewer district, additional requests for sand and oil separators for the trash enclosures. And then the fire department plan submitted to satisfy the building permitting. That was the stage and the just the stage, excuse me. So just the community center part of the stage. And then the SIPS plan, which was a change in direction on the structures and the review responsibility for those. All of that is additional work and includes the landscape architect and the civil engineering services, and they're reimbursable. You've asked me to come to you with any change orders above $10,000, and this one is above that threshold. So I'm asking for approval to sign the change order with Cala for $43,712.
Thanks, Mike. Does anybody have any questions?
I would make a motion that we approve.
You can, sorry. I did just have one question, and Mike, I'm so sorry if you did just say it. Did they put in a contingency amount?
There's a contingency in it, yes. And with these changes, we blew through the contingency.
What was the percentage of the total for the
I
contingency?
do not have that figure.
I thought it was 5. I thought it was 5 or 10%, because that would have,
Kind of going off of what Raymond James said, is getting to, how
Yeah.
many,
The retaining wall is part of that contingency. We added up on the retaining wall and then some of that early work with the relocation of the water.
Raymond James and I know how much extra work our design consultants have had to do to jump through the county's hoops. It's really nice to spend all the money on design services and permit fees and all of that stuff.
So then
Maybe we won't have any left to build anything actually, but
We'll be permitted.
So
We'll be permitted.
in 20 years. So the contingency we would not have had to voted to use the contingency, right?
No,
Or
you
just-
would not
so it
have.
was
That was
just
part of the
used.
project, correct.
And did they let you, because I don't think they told us when the contingency was used up. I don't recall
I
that in the
don't.
meeting.
I did not get that we're up against it. I did know that we were up against the total amount late last month.
Okay.
It doesn't come as a surprise to me, though.
No, it
All-
doesn't.
All the extra time and multiple reviews and reviews by new reviewers and reviews by newer
And then
reviewers.
the thing that came in from left field from Sac Metro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zach Andrews said so.
So
Okay.
it still goes on. We're hoping another month might get us past.
Well, you were, sorry, making a motion.
Oh, the motion, my motion would be to approve the district administrator's expenditure of that 43,712 for design services.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's see, before we go to the foundation, the last possible item is discussion and possible action on adoption of resolution number 111721-02, accepting a grant deed from Elliott Homes.
We skipped
I think you missed
8.4.
one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Shoot. Yes, you're right. Disposal, I already crossed it off. Disposal of possible action on approval of disposal of fixed assets.
Yeah, so this one is the request for approval of a variety of fixed assets that are listed here in the board report. In order for us to dispose of these, you have to approve that they are surplus. And so those items are our Cisco phone system, which we've recently replaced with Microsoft Teams. We no longer need those. Ian Roberts has been working on that. He is, if approved, he will put them on what is it called? Publicsurplus.com, which is a public auction website. And if they don't sell, then they will be donated to a nonprofit. And then there's a list that was provided by Sean Ventura, the Parks and Facilities Manager, of a variety of parks equipment that is no longer either usable or that the district is no longer using. He provided cost estimates for repairs, if there were repairs that could be done more than they're actually worth. And so I can go through them all if you like, but they are here in this table.
Please don't, but tell me what hot chocolate is and why we.
Actual hot chocolate.
No, I think it's a hot chocolate maker.
Oh.
Is that right, Sean?
Yes, that is correct. It is a machine that makes hot chocolate.
Why did we buy that? 2018. What were you
Just
guys
call it a
thinking?
microwave.
It was inherited. It was in the upper hidden recesses of the maintenance shop.
So all of this excess property will gain us $1.2 million.
Yeah, right.
Slightly less.
What about the dishwasher? It's saying it's been at a maintenance shop for 7 years. I don't understand.
I believe that one came out of Village Hall when it was originally, not originally, but renovated last, to the best of my knowledge. And Katie might have a better hint as to where that one originally came from. But when we renovated Village Hall, there was a kitchen in there at that point. And I think we replaced it with something. We did not put a dishwasher back in there. But it may have come from the upstairs, the clubhouse auditorium kitchen as well. I cannot say for certain.
It came from Village Hall.
Okay. How are we?
Fairly old.
Public auction website.
Sean, can you talk about the gem cars? About why they're not, or if the field use is minimal? Did you guys just not use them, or is that what?
Yes, sorry for interrupting. Yes, Director Tamani, I can definitely talk about those. They were purchased as utility vehicles for park staff. Originally, one of the main designs of it was for park aides to deal with trash and restrooms with it. The problem being is that they don't really have a truck bed. That's problem number one. So if we're putting trash in the back of them, there's nowhere to really strap down the trash. And so a lot of the satellite parks we have, you can't take the trash anywhere once you pull it. it also doesn't fit very much. So while we have, say, a 4-yard dumpster for trash over at Phoenix Park, you could take trash from the backside of that over to the 4-yard dumpster and get rid of it, but you couldn't say take it from Bannister Park and bring it back to either the village across Sunrise and down Sunset very effectively. On top of that, their batteries are reliable, but they're not so reliable that I could put my park opener on it and then have a park aide during the day use it and then have my park closer use it. It's just, it doesn't charge quickly enough. In addition to that, for my other park staff, another reason they were originally purchased was for park workers to get out to projects out in the field. And the frames are aluminum. They're not heavy duty. We can't fit all of our tools in it without bending the frame. We can't fit fence supplies in there because it's not big enough. We can't fit a lot of things in there and actually do the jobs we need to do as effectively. The goal would be to sell those. They still have a pretty high resale value, and I'm hoping, if approved, I'd be hoping to get a pretty decent amount for them, and then transfer that to a more ruggedized electric vehicle still that has a steel frame, has a dump trailer, has off-road capabilities, that sort of thing, where we could actually use it for park projects, but still use it for special events as well, because it'd be nice enough looking that rec would care to use it. But in the 9 months out of the year, over the grand scheme of things, where we're not at a special event, it would still be useful to tow a seed spreader or be able to put dirt in the back and then dump it out when we're filling in holes that are ankle breakers in the fields and stuff like that.
Thank you, Sean.
Of course.
So I would make a motion that we authorize the district to dispose of these particular fixed assets. Get as much as you can out of them.
I'll second.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Hit the auction block. Okay. Now to item number 5, which I prematurely jumped to, discussion and possible action on adoption of resolution number 111721-02, accepting a grant deed from Elliott Holmes, Inc.
Yes, this is for the Gum Ranch property.
Can I ask a question going in? Does this include the creek, or was that acquired earlier?
This is the whole thing.
It includes the creek. Okay.
And so this is just more of a housekeeping thing than anything else, but just authorizing the district administrator to sign the deed and get it recorded with the county. So it's in our name.
Having worked on this project since 1987 or 88, I would be thrilled to make the motion on this.
We'd
be honored.
Absolutely.
And after this, I can die peacefully.
Right. There you go.
But, I want to get this right, but that we accept the grant deed and transfer this property to the Park District. Where's got the draft motion in here somewhere?
Resolution number.
Oh, it's me. Yes, and to adopt resolution number 111721-02, accepting a grant deed from Elliott Homes Incorporated for the Gum Ranch Park.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yay, close the deal.
Finally.
Item 9.
I was afraid you wouldn't vote for that. We
Right.
Elliott Homes.
We need to basically move from the regular board meeting to the foundation board meeting. So we need someone to make the motion to convene the Fair Oaks Recreation and Park Foundation meeting without adjourning the board of directors.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 9.2, foundation business, approval of the minutes of the Fair Oaks Recreation Foundation Board meeting of May 19, 2021. And can we do the other one too? 9.22, accept and file the financial report? Yes, yes, okay. Motions to do both of those things, 9.21 and 9.22.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, finally, another motion to adjourn the Fair Oaks Recreation Foundation meeting and reconvene the Park District Board of Directors regular meeting.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yay. Okay, item from board and staff members, or board and staff reports. So where do you want to start?
Well, somebody has to mention the wonderful Jim String ribbon
Here,
cutting
here. That
last
was
week.
very cool.
Another accomplishment that I think I treasure, because I treasure Jim String. And I also been thinking about this. The county was generous enough to give us the land, and we in turn honored one of their members of their board.
Well, we had one former county supervisor, two former county supervisors, and our current county supervisor. What I was amazed at is how many people showed up, and how, it was just a good feeling thing. So, and I would agree, it was an honor to have Jim there and recognize him, but also to see the community come out there and really appreciate, what the county had done for us and what we had done for the community.
Yes.
I don't have anything. I was going to mention the same thing. So actually, I have a question. Are we going to have a food drive again at Christmas as we typically do?
I'm gonna turn to Katie on that one.
The food bank is coming out to our December 4th. What has been relabeled instead of Christmas in the Village, because it's not Christmas in the Village, is Christmas in Fair Oaks tree lighting. That's December 4th, which I believe, John, you'll be coming to light the tree with the honorary Mayor Penny Howard. You guys will both do that together, which would be great. The food bank will be there. We will be doing a food drive with the food bank, in addition to which the Fair Oaks Youth Advisory Board, and I sure hope I've got this right, decided on donations to the different animal shelters in Sacramento. So Front Street, SPCA, Bradshaw, all of those different locations. They're going to be asking people to bring food, blankets, toys, and all of those items for dogs and cats. If you're a bunny fan, I guess we'll take bunny stuff too. They do have bunnies. But yeah, we'll be doing that. So you can either bring food for the food bank. They will be present with their food bank truck on December 4th at that event in the evening. In addition to which you could bring anything for cats, dogs, and bunnies.
So human food and pet food.
Yeah, there you go.
Katie, the tree lighting, is that our artificial tree? Are we going to use that?
It's going to be at Fair Oaks Park. And I believe it begins at 3 p.m. We've got a whole, and I will just give credit to Mary and Sabrina and Kim Patillo from the chamber. They are really planning the whole thing. We've got Rotary coming out. We've got the food bank. We've got a bunch of different vendors. It's going to actually be quite a nice setting. The tree will be in the front parking lot of Fair Oaks Park, at least for this year. Obviously, this is our first time doing it in a different location, but this is the best location for visibility and holding the event. And then we will have the stage right next to the tree, our very nice stage that we purchased. We're going to have different dance acts, BV choir, I believe, or BV band. I might be mistaken on which one, doing a performance, great music. Everybody, FAFLA will be out there, the Fair Oaks Foundation for Leisure and the Arts. It's going to be a great evening. So it starts at 3 p.m. on December 4th.
Okay, Katie, promise me one thing. You'll get a hold of me beforehand and we'll walk through this thing, okay?
Yes, I have put it in my calendar already based on Mike's recommendation. You are going to get a reminder on November 29th on Monday, and then
Right.
probably again on Thursday before the event. And I will absolutely walk you through. And if you're even want to come out and just see the whole where you're going to be, we can do that too.
That'd
But
be
I
good.
will have a script for you, John. So,
All right.
Director O'Farrell, I will have a script for you.
No wet shoes when you flip the switch.
Oh, that's right. Really, really. Okay.
Secretly, I believe Sean Ventura might be flipping that switch, but we'll pretend that.
We only want the tree to light
Okay,
up.
that's actually, that's all I had. Raymond, do you have anything to report?
Just, no, just a quick question on when if we know anything about Gum Ranch.
Katie?
Me too. Yeah, we are just waiting. Michael Hemmington has been amazing in giving us real-time updates on what's happening with the county with the final sign off of the permit. We've been checking with him probably every other day, which I'm sure he loves. No update yet. It is with them, and we are just waiting for a final sign off. I am hoping this week, and I think he is as well. As soon as we have that final sign off from the county, we will then be talking with the board of directors on an ideal date for an opening and ribbon cutting. I will say that because we had to reschedule, thank you, Mary Katalka. She did go stand out there at the park on the November 16th date for half an hour or so, just in case anyone missed the sandwich word signs and other information we placed everywhere. So we wanted to make sure we didn't have anybody bummed that no one was there. But as soon as we can, we will be talking with you about a reschedule. So you will be the first to know.
Thank you.
So we expect county approval by 2023.
I think this one will go a little bit faster. Director Carhart, there was a fire extinguisher need, which is new to us out at the park, and some other items that between Mike and Sean and myself, we've been working through.
Good luck.
Interesting on that fire extinguisher, just so you know, it's they now require fire extinguishers near outdoor barbecue pits.
Oh, boy.
And
How long are they gonna last?
yeah, so we're gonna comply with their requirement.
Not a whole-
Right, really, really. Okay. Belinda?
I don't have anything. I was just wondering if there's an update on Melissa at all.
Yeah, I was gonna give that my report. I'll give it
Oh,
right
okay.
now, if you'd
Perfect.
like.
That's
I will read the email that came from Frank, assistant district or assistant superintendent that's in charge of this for the school district. He said, this is this week, or last week he sent, I met with our attorney last week and believe it's best that we prepare a lease since Fair Oaks will be leasing directly from us, so they're going to create the lease. They will be circulating a draft for you and legal to review in the next couple of weeks. If all goes well, we can finalize in December and place on the board's agenda in January, and that's boards plural, so San Juan and us. And then let me know if you have any questions. So that's the update at this point. Hopefully a finalized lease in December and then on your board agenda in January.
Great.
What you read, is that what we saw a couple weeks
In the
ago?
email.
Yeah, I think fire.
Okay.
Good.
And that was my update.
Oh, I didn't have anything else. That was just a question.
Do we have updates from
Yeah,
any other
Katie,
staff?
you have one thing I believe left.
I have one thing. I do want to just give really quick kudos to the rec team and also thank Parks. We decided, because of COVID and how great it feels to get back out and about, to activate every single day in December. So if you haven't seen our December holiday calendar, this is one of those bright ideas of someone in management and staff actually decided to actually execute it. So I just want to say thank you for their willingness to almost always say yes whenever they can. And we're really only working a very small amount of these. These are partnership opportunities at businesses and other organizations, but we are activating every single day in December in Fair Oaks. So we're really proud of that and excited. I know the Santa Stops, if they're not sold out, they're almost sold out. The progressive dinner we're doing is sold out. That sold quite fast. In fact, I'm amazed at how popular they are. And I think those will be a continued staple as we add our arts and entertainment in the village. It's a great partnership with the chamber and the businesses. So just wanted to give a quick kudos on the activations in December. On that note, for December, oh joy, I know this is the board's favorite part of the holiday season. We typically would have a Fair Oaks Recreation and Park District staff holiday dinner in the clubhouse. As you know, we had to plan around that just in case. So we are having our staff holiday dinner actually on Tuesday, December 14th at the Fair Oaks Brew Pub. It basically starts directly after 5 p.m. You can come by and mingle and hang out. And I'm assuming that the dinner part will probably start around 6 o'clock. This is going to be a joint holiday dinner with their staff as well, which I think will be great. I believe Gary is working on their regular music coming out. And so the board and the staff are covered. If the board or the staff would like to bring a guest, you can bring one guest, and that would be at a $30 fee that you would need to pay by December 6th. So you just need to RSVP to Paula Lucas, which is plucas@forpd.org, that you are coming, and whether or not you're coming solo or with a guest, and make that payment with Paula, and we'll be all set to have a great time.
Cool. And will we be purchasing alcohol from there?
You will be purchasing, each staff member will purchase their own alcohol. The district will cover the meal and non-alcoholic beverages. Any alcohol you will purchase from their bar.
Cool. I like the idea.
I figured you would. I like it as well.
So
Thank you.
Well, we have you, Katie. I don't know who publicized the Historical Society's historical walks in the village, but thank you. That's a nice partnership too.
It was our pleasure, and that is definitely Sabrina and Mary.
Kudos.
I did have a couple things, all the fun stuff. So this is normally our audit season, and our audit has been delayed a little bit this year because Mario and our accountant, Robert Merritt, are still working on putting everything into the QuickBooks. So normally we would get our audit back in January or February. This year it'll probably be more like March or April. There's an update there. And then also at the last meeting, Director Tamani had requested that we look into doing a revenue report to be included with your board financials. We do have that put together. Mike had asked for some additional stuff to be added at the last minute, so it did not go to your board packet, but you will see it in December.
Thank you.
Great. Cool. And I don't believe, Sean, you have anything?
That is correct. I have nothing to share tonight.
That's it.
Okay. Motion to adjourn to regular meeting December 15th.
Absolutely. I'll second that meeting, or second that motion to that meeting.
And happy Thanksgiving in the meantime.
Happy Thanksgiving. Don't overindulge. I'm going to drink a lot of champagne. So I guess we're
Second, is that a?
all in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Cool. Good.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
You got big events